What's up guys, it is kcosmic here and welcome to the video. Today what we're going to be going over is Elemental Pop and how much better is it now that it's had its little perk upgrade. Now to be honest, I think Elemental Pop has to be the best perk in terms of the upgrades it's gotten. Everything else is pretty cool as well with the perks, like Tombstone's got a lot better, Jug as well has gotten a bit better, but Elemental Pop I think has just been the most creative one they've gone with. As we know, the initial effect of Elemental Pop was every bullet you fire has a small chance to apply a random based ammo mod effect onto the zombies. Then once you get tier 1, equipment damage also has a small chance to apply a random based ammo mod effect. So these are things like monkey bombs obviously. Tier 2 is then reduce ammo mod cooldown by 20%, so that means it's a bit faster. And then tier 3 is when an ammo mod is applied, it uses the ammo mod's current skill tier instead of the base. So what this initially means is that when you upgrade your pack-a-punch abilities outside of the game, like you do with the perks and everything else, if it is at tier 3, then this perk will recognize that and use the tier 3 version of it. Coming on to the tier 4 version of the perk, it increases enemies' elemental weakness damage by 50%. So this means whenever an ammo mod is activated, it'll be stronger against your enemies. Coming to tier 5 on our list, this is the most interesting one because it incorporates a fan favorite perk from the older games. So this perk is going to be Electric Cherry. Obviously we've seen that first of all Mob of the Dead, and then we've seen it through Black Ops 3 and Black Ops 4. It is here again in Black Ops Cold War as the 5th tier on the Elemental Pop perk. The description reads, reloading creates an electrical damage discharge that damages and stuns nearby normal enemies. The more empty the magazine, the stronger the damage is. With myself seeing this, I knew I had to go into game, grind out the game and get this leveled up first. So that is exactly what I did. I got to round 50, left the game, and I went back in with my fully upgraded Elemental Pop. And then again, I went to round 50 because I wanted to see what the perk could actually do on the higher rounds with the Electric Cherry effect. To get to round 50, I used the strat in the speed cooler room, and to be honest, when I was using Elemental Pop, I definitely noticed a difference. When I would be using the ray gun and I had to reload, I was definitely felt safer because I knew that shock effect was going to happen and it would hold off the zombies for just a few seconds, and sometimes when the zombies are in front, the other ones can't get up, so that alone is going to make me want to use this perk. I listed Elemental Pop as one of the worst perks in a perk video I did, and now I'm going to have to completely redo it because this changes everything because a lot of the bad ones are really good now. But doing this strat, like I said, I definitely noticed it. As far as the actual ability of increasing the damage, I played around with it in a few other games and I noticed it as well. But for me, I use wonder weapons a lot of the time, and I'm sure you guys do as well. So when it comes to actually use them too much, just because when I'm in a game, I try and go for the wonder weapons. But by using Elemental Pop, obviously the effects will happen randomly, and I did notice them when it was happening, that they were killing a lot of zombies. As well as that, I don't even have all of my ammo mods fully upgraded, so once those are fully upgraded, it will be even better. So Elemental Pop isn't even at its full ability yet, and man, it is crazy. Again, this perk, as far as helping you get to the higher rounds, when you're doing camping, it really does help. And I have to say as well, I love how the shock has turned to a purpley pink color instead of the classic blue we've seen in the older games. It makes it feel a bit new even though it's not really new. But now I promised you guys I would show you the perk on round 50, and that's exactly what we're going to do. So let me go to the game right now here, and you see me with the last bunch of zombies on the round 50. And again, the perk does a lot of damage. I use a ray gun here and I completely unload it, and then I stand next to the zombies. It takes over half of their health away. So by me doing this 2 times, it completely kills the zombies, which I was not expecting. That's stronger than a lot of the weapons we have actually in the game. So technically you could probably use this to get to high rounds. Would I recommend it? Probably not, but you could definitely do so. I think these 2 new abilities make Elemental Pop just so much better, from being a god-awful perk to like a top tier perk. As far as my listings go, I need to sit down and think about where the perks are going to go on my new list, but Elemental Pop is definitely getting higher than a few other perks in the game, because a few of the perks, even though they've had some cool new upgrades, they're not really as cool or creative as the Elemental Pop tier upgrades, and even though still it's not the best perk, I can definitely respect it a lot more than I could before. And when you look at it in a certain way, you could just look at this as a much better version of Electric Cherry. And now with that said, if they will ever add more tier upgrades, I don't know if they will, because eventually if they keep adding tier upgrades, it's just, we're going to be so overpowered, it's going to be so easy to get to them higher rounds. I could see them using a lot of the effects Electric Cherry gave off in Black Ops 4. Obviously when I say a lot, I mean the one, because the one that is in the ammo mod, it charges up your knife when you're knifing a bunch. So I could definitely see them doing that later on in the game's life cycle if they want to add more tiers to this perk, definitely. And again, with these tier upgrades, I think the most important thing is that it fixes all the problems that the other ones had and makes a noticeable improvement over the last version of the perk, and this definitely does. Obviously, it doesn't fix any of the problems the perk has as far as like the high round game goes, because for these guys that don't know, eventually elemental pop can crash your game in the later rounds, or it's been known to, because it has a lot going on with the pack-a-punch effects. And that sucks, and it's kind of a shame because this thing on the really high rounds might actually not be viable, just because there's even more going on now. Obviously, I'm not too much of a high round player, so we'd have to test out and stuff, but I think with this new effect, the one thing that could happen is it could crash again the game more on the higher rounds, because there's more stuff happening on the screen as well, which is a shame because I can imagine this being really well on the higher rounds. There was one bad thing about the perk though that I noticed, and this was bad in the past games, and it's going to be even worse in this game. Essentially what the problem is that once you go down, it puts out like an outburst of the electricity and stuns all the zombies around you. By the time you get up, you only have a few seconds to get away. And on them higher rounds, I promise you when this happens, the zombies are just going to slap you as soon as you get up and you're going to go down. If you're in a corner, you're screwed. There's not really any way out of it. So I guess it's kind of taking the good and the bad. Elemental pop on the lower rounds is really fun to use, and it does help a lot to get into them high rounds, and it can even help in the higher rounds. But the big problem again is just that it's that risk, because if you're in a corner and you go down, you're not getting out of it. And there's not really specialist weapons in this game. If you have Ether Shroud on, which you probably won't, you'll have Ring of Fire if you're going for a high round, then fair enough. But a lot of people don't run that perk. And if you don't have a kill streak either, because if you had a kill streak, you probably wouldn't went down in the first place. So you're in the situation where the perk is really good, but with how the zombies work in Cold War and how fast they can get on the higher rounds, it could just be a complete cluster and you end up downing yourself and finishing off your game in the long run. So to finish things off, I guess, do I like the perk? Absolutely. I think it's such a big improvement to the last version, and I think it's just so cool how it's Electric Cherry. This is technically a new perk in the game in my eyes, so it feels like they're giving us Tombstone and Electric Cherry. And I'm glad they didn't have to add a brand new perk machine for this, because Elemental Pop is the perfect place to put a perk like Electric Cherry. The perk machines are kind of similar, and the atmosphere and vibe I get off it as well can make me think I'm drinking something like Electric Cherry. Maybe they made the machine in mind with this upgrade gonna come, and they're like, okay, let's just add it in. The perk machines are pretty similar. We don't have a perk jingle for Electric Cherry. It's that disturbing, sad noise that you can find on Mob of the Dead. So let's just put this in here so that it has an official jingle. But that's just my thoughts. Anyway, guys, thank you so much if you made it this far into the video. Remember to subscribe for more zombies content if you haven't already. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Leave a comment on what your thoughts are about Elemental Pop now. And with that said, guys, I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.